Imagine a sun-drenched summer day in 1914. The city is Sarajevo, a jewel in the sprawling Austro-Hungarian Empire. The air is thick with anticipation, but beneath the surface, a dangerous current of nationalism is stirring. Archduke Franz Ferdinand, the heir to this empire, arrives with his wife, Sophie. They are here for a military inspection, a display of imperial power. As their motorcade winds through the streets, they wave to the crowds, a picture of royal composure. But in that crowd, hidden in plain sight, are young men with a fire in their hearts and a deadly plan. They are members of a secret society, the Black Hand, and their goal is simple: Serbian independence, secured by the death of the Archduke. The first attempt is clumsy, almost farcical. A grenade is thrown, but it bounces off the Archduke's car and explodes under the one behind it, injuring several officers. The would-be assassin swallows a faulty cyanide pill and is captured. The procession is thrown into chaos. Any sensible person would have cancelled the rest of the tour, retreated to safety. But Franz Ferdinand was not just any person. He was an archduke, a man of immense pride and stubbornness. Shaken, but determined to show he would not be intimidated, he insisted on continuing his new plan to visit the hospital and check on the men injured by the bomb. It was a noble gesture, but it would prove to be a fatal one. History often hinges on the smallest of moments, the tiniest of errors. As the Archduke's car made its way to the hospital, the driver, a man unfamiliar with the city's revised route, made a wrong turn. He swung the vehicle onto Franz Joseph Street, a narrow lane he was supposed to have avoided. As he realized his mistake and began to reverse, the car stalled. And right there, standing on that very corner, was another one of the assassins, a 19-year-old student named Gavrilo Princip. He had thought the plot had failed, and had wandered to a nearby cafe, likely contemplating his next move. Now, by a staggering twist of fate, his target had been delivered directly to him, stationary, less than 10 feet away. Princip didn't hesitate. He stepped forward from the crowd, raised his pistol, and fired 2 shots. There was no grand speech, no dramatic declaration, just 2 deafening cracks that would echo through the century. The first bullet struck Sophie in the abdomen. The second hit the Archduke in the neck, severing his jugular vein. As chaos erupted around them, Franz Ferdinand's last recorded words were a desperate plea to his dying wife, "Sophie, Sophie, don't die. Live for our children." But it was too late. Within minutes, the heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne and his beloved wife were dead. The engine of their car was still warm. The news of the assassination didn't just travel, it detonated across Europe. For years, the continent had been a complex web of treaties, rivalries, and escalating military build-ups. It was a powder keg waiting for a spark, and Gavrilo Princip had just provided it. Austria-Hungary, enraged and seeking to crush Serbian nationalism once and for all, issued an ultimatum to Serbia, a list of demands so harsh they were almost impossible to accept. They were looking for a reason to go to war, and they found it. When Serbia failed to comply fully, Austria-Hungary declared war on July 28, 1914. Exactly 1 month after the assassination. This declaration triggered the domino effect that diplomats had feared for decades. It was a chain reaction of alliances. Russia, seeing itself as the protector of the Slavic people, began to mobilize its massive army in support of Serbia. This mobilization was seen as an act of war by Germany, Austria-Hungary's powerful ally. Germany, in turn, declared war on Russia. Bound by treaty to Russia, France began its own mobilization. The German war plan, the infamous Schlieffen Plan, required a rapid strike against France by invading through neutral Belgium. And when German troops crossed the Belgian border, Great Britain, which had guaranteed Belgium's neutrality, had no choice but to declare war on Germany. And so, what began as a political murder in a provincial city spiraled into a global catastrophe. Within weeks, the great powers of Europe were locked in a conflict of unprecedented scale and brutality. Millions of men marched off to what they believed would be a short, glorious war. A war that would be over by Christmas. They couldn't have been more wrong. The romantic ideals of 19th-century warfare were about to be shattered against the brutal reality of machine guns, artillery, and poison gas. A new kind of war was born. A war of attrition fought in the mud and squalor of trenches that stretched for hundreds of miles across the face of Europe. The war would drag on for 4 long, agonizing years. It would topple empires, the Austro-Hungarian, the German, the Russian, the Ottoman, all vanished into the history books. It would redraw the map of the world and leave a scar on the collective psyche of humanity. An entire generation of young men, the lost generation, was decimated. Over 20 million people, soldiers and civilians, would lose their lives. And it all began with that single, fateful wrong turn, that stalled car, and that one young man with a pistol who believed he was fighting for freedom. Was Gavrilo Princip a hero, a terrorist, or simply a pawn in a much larger game? History is still debating that question. To Serbian nationalists, he was a patriot who struck a blow against an oppressive empire. To the Austro-Hungarians and their allies, he was a murderer whose actions unleashed unimaginable horror. Perhaps the most haunting truth is that he was simply a catalyst. The war was likely coming anyway. The tensions were too high, the ambitions too great. But Princip's act gave it a time, a place, and a justification. He provided the spark, but the world was already soaked in gasoline. It's a chilling reminder of how history can pivot on a single moment. The world of 1914, with its confident empires and rigid social orders, was shattered forever. The Great War, as it came to be known, set the stage for the even greater conflicts of the 20th century. It's a story of nationalism, pride, miscalculation, and the tragic illusion that violence can ever be a simple solution. So the next time you think about the course of history, remember Sarajevo. Remember how a sunny June morning, 2 gunshots, and 1 wrong turn plunged the entire world into darkness. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this journey into the past as fascinating as I did, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel for more deep dives into the moments that shaped our world. We'll see you in the next one.